click. Okay. So we'll start right here. Hi, everyone. My name is Annie Wesselhoff. I am the employee advocate. I'm also a social worker at Instructional ABA Consultants. So welcome to our webinar on IEPs and kind of knowing and navigating if your child has an IEP or needs an IEP. We have a couple other employees here. I want to introduce Chris Walk, who is our parent liaison. Chris also has children at IABA getting services. And then we have Rachel Murray, who just started with us, who's our social worker for our Naperville clinic. So you'll definitely be hearing from her. And before I introduce our speaker, I think everyone has their Zooms on mute. If you could mute just for background noise. I think Kim has left time as she's presenting for questions. You can also put them in the chat, or you can also email them to us after. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Kim Saavedra. Kim also has children at IABA receiving ABA services. She is an IEP coach in the Naperville area. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because we have a visual to go along. So go ahead, Kim, and take it away.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for being here. A little bit of background on myself real quickly. I'm not sure how much you know about me, but I am an IEP coach, mainly just experience in raising my boys, and everything that we went through, our entire journey was new. And when I first found out that they had autism and major behavior issues. So what I do now is I'm an IEP coach, and I work with parents and families actually throughout the United States. I'm branched out, so whoever comes across, a lot of it is word of mouth, and whoever just comes across my website and sees what I do, we'll do like initial consultations. I find out what it is that is the parents' concerns, and then I work with them and I help them collaborate between home and school. And that's the biggest thing, is collaboration between home and school. And you'll hear a lot about that. You'll see it all over this agenda and everything. It's all about the collaboration between home and school. So yeah, so that's just a little bit of background. 2 boys with autism. And yeah, so that's a little bit. So we want to jump right in.
Sure. And I also wanted to say, we're going to try to stick to under an hour for this. If anyone has to like leave early or anything, that's fine. Like I said, we'll upload the recording probably by next week. Okay.
So a little bit about the IEP, as I'm sure from the little bit of a background, everybody in this Zoom has an IEP, or at least a 504 an IEP. So the first question is your placement and what your child is in. How can I tell if my child is in the right placement for them? And what should I do if I think my child's placement is not right for them? Basically, it comes down to you as the parent and what you want for your child. So if your top priority concerns are being met within your school district, within your the classroom setting, the supports and accommodations, if you are happy and everything of your child's needs is being met, then yes, they're in the right, that's how you know they're in the right placement, because you are feeling confident that your children are getting the services and accommodations that they need. If your top priority concerns for your child is not being met in the school setting, meaning you're seeing things in the home, you know your child best, and you're seeing things that's going on in the home. And if these types of things are not being addressed in the school setting, then you may want to call a meeting to see what's going on in the school setting, just to collaborate and communicate what's going on. I mean, when your children are at school, we're not seeing them there, obviously. So we're not seeing the behaviors and the different things that they're doing in the school setting. Only what we can get from little bit of reports, any kind of communications, if there is communications between your school team, and you need more than just a smiley face or some of the communications come home and it's just a smiley face or a sticker, or I earned these stickers today, but you really don't know exactly what's taking place in the school unless you open up and as parents and ask what's going on. So if you're seeing things that you're concerned about, whether it be behaviors or through their academics, that's not being, they're just not where they should be or where they could be, then there's steps that you can take. So the first step you want to take is to communicate with your team. You always want it in writing. So you can do an email and you want to send out like just a small, tone is everything. Tone is absolutely everything. I can't stress this more. You always want a collaborative tone. You don't want to be combative or sound harsh or anything, even if that's what we may be feeling, because maybe our children haven't reached those goals yet. Kind of hone that in, because we really do want to be a team, all of us together, and work together to get our children where they need to go. So send out a group email, meaning your whole IEP team, so everybody is aware that you want to communicate, you want to set up a meeting. Just a brief email, what your top priority concerns are, a couple things, and then they'll set up the date. When they reply to you and they set up the date, since you're the one asking for the meeting, be prepared for that meeting. So what you want to do is you want to write up a letter. I like calling them parent collaboration reports. So what you want to do is you want to list everything that you're concerned about. Give details in there, because the more information that you can give in that parent collaboration report that you want to talk about at the meeting, the more your teachers, all the staff, all the therapists, they'll understand where you're coming from, and they'll be able to be prepared to answer those questions. So about 2 to 3 days before your meeting date, send a one group mass email to the whole team what that your parent collaboration report is going to consist of. So come meeting day, you're going to talk about that, everything that you put in there. They'll be able to answer all your questions, tell you what's going on, give you a better picture of what's taking place through your child's school day. And if during that meeting, after getting all those questions answered, if you're still not feeling comfortable, that it's still not feeling right, what can we do more for my child? And you want to brainstorm ideas, because maybe the school building that your child is attending, maybe the building itself is not equipped with the appropriate services, the staff team, even sensory rooms. But that doesn't mean the district doesn't offer those things within their district. So it's not uncommon to have your child attend a different school building that's in your district, because that's a better placement for them. Excuse me. So, or if throughout the whole entire school district, by the way, that's called the full continuum of placements. So if you ask your team for the full continuum of placements, do you want to see that? You're asking them, you want to see everything across the whole, everything that the school district provides for those services, accommodations, sensory rooms, all of that. And you actually want to see it, meaning you want to set up an appointment to visit these classrooms so that while students are there, so you can see the type of classroom, you can see the environment, you can see the type of students that are attending these classrooms, and then you can really get a better fit, an idea of, is this a better fit for my child? So, and maybe they don't have what your child is needing. Maybe you have to go to a therapeutic day school. And if that's the case, you can see a list of schools through the district. That's also included with that full continuum of placement. So even though it might be outside the school district, it's a therapeutic day school. And the district would provide the transportation. They would also provide the tuition if that's the best placement fit for them. And so, and again, you want to visit these schools because you want to see everything. Always ask to set up an appointment to visit with these different placement setting options. And then you can see which one would be the better fit for your child. So that's how you know, basically, in a nutshell, is that the best, placement? Is your child getting the right placement for them? So moving on to, is there any questions on that piece? I'm not seeing any.
Kim, hi, this is Ruby. Hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. So regarding the parent collaboration report that you mentioned, that it would be better to share it ahead of time, ahead of the IEP review meeting. So how will that look like? Is it just a list of all the concerns we have, along with some supporting details and like examples? Is that what you mean by the parent collaboration report?
Yes. And when I say parent collaboration report, it's because because me being an IEP coach, I like putting everything in bullet point style. So
Okay.
I will address it originally, like you're writing a letter,
Right.
like an actual, like a formal letter, because it's a formal request, what you're asking for your concerns. So yes, and you want to list each, it's also easier to read. It's easier on the eyes to have it in bullet points of the different topics that you want to talk about, and then a brief description underneath, rather than one, paragraph after paragraph after paragraph.
Right.
Yeah, it's just easier to break it down into bullet points of what you want to talk about, and then a little bit more of, briefly of explaining, and maybe not just, and ask your questions, put your questions in there too. If you have your title of what it is that you want to talk about, and then you want to give an explanation, the reason why you want to talk about that, and then put underneath your questions too. Ideas, maybe there's things that you're seeing, that's not working in the home setting, but you're seeing it's working in the school setting. So how do we get our children to generalize that in all environments? You want to put that in there. So absolutely everything you want to talk about in that meeting would go in the parent collaboration report.
Got it. Thanks, Kim.
Sure. Any other questions? So,
any questions? Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to the IEP goals. So with the IEP goals, what does a good IEP goal look like? And what if my child has not met their goals? So with the goals, basically everything that goes into the IEP itself should be life skill goals. Okay, so these are goals that are preparing our children for adulthood. This is all the foundation and everything that they need to be working on. The very most important skills, the life skills, is what we want in the IEP. Goals in the IEP are being tracked with data, observations, they're being measured for progress, and we're getting progress reports throughout the year. So everything that goes into that IEP is being really intensely looked at and worked on. So when you ask yourself what should be in the IEP, what's a good goal for our children, something, I like to go by, ask yourself the question, is this something, what's in the IEP that they're learning in the IEP, is this something that I use in my adult life? Or is this something that you truly see your child doing in their adult life? Each of our children have different disabilities and whatever, we see that they're capable of doing. And we always want to push them, challenge them a little bit further. So if they're capable, is this something that we see our children doing in adult life. We always have to have that vision. Like they might be whatever age they are now, we always want to think ahead, be 10, 20, 30 steps ahead, just to get that idea of what their adult life is going to look like. We want them, everything that's in the IEP, we want them to have the skills to be as independent as possible. And depending on our children's disabilities, that looks different for every child. Independence is different for every single child. So, excuse me, independence according to your children and their abilities, the most important skills that you want them to have, that's what should go into the IEP for them. So an example goal might be tying shoes. So that is a life skill. However, there's always, they can choose shoes as adults that don't have laces. Now that doesn't mean they can't learn how to tie. Because there might be situations they might have to tie something, something, string, a knot or whatever. But is it something that you want in the IEP to be tracked and measured for progress? So, or is there something more important to your child that they need to learn? So, by the way, tying shoes, like that would be an OT goal. That would be under the category of occupational therapy. So you can put that as an OT goal if that's a life skill that you want for your child. So, but if it's in the IEP and you really don't, or there's also like grooming skills too. Sometimes they're okay. They actually are good with the skills that they're doing, but they're still in the IEP and they don't necessarily need the grooming skills inside the IEP. So it's up to you as the parents on what you see for your children and the most important skills that you want to make sure that they have that's going to set them up for their future. So those are examples of what a good IEP goal should look like. So, and of course, there's behavior goals that go in there too. There's the behavior plan, there's the academic goals, like there's all kinds of goals. So what is it that's most important to you that you want your child to have? Anything that you want monitored, have data collected on it, have them progress and have mastery in, that's the type of goal that should be in the IEP. Any questions? Nope. I'm checking the chat. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see any in the chat. Nope.
Okay.
Kim, I have a quick question.
Yes.
My name's Dawn. I'm also in Naperville, and my twins receive services at IABA. And my question is more of a, it's easy to collaborate when the team is willing to collaborate. And I'm finding that there needs to be kind of an awakening that children with disabilities have a right to learn. They have a right to be in a general education classroom. I'm not saying it's always the appropriate placement, but bringing it more as a civil right issue. And we wouldn't kick out a child from general education setting if they were African American. So why are they allowed to do it? Because the child has a disability. So how and we know that there's a lot of kiddos who are outplaced into behavior schools, and they're not focusing on academics. And so how have you effectively collaborated to have more placement, more involvement, more inclusion, more acceptance for children with disabilities in the school environment?
So that's a great question. I love it because yes, absolutely. All of our children, in order for them to gain extra life skills and everything, they have to have all those social skills. They have to have inclusion. That's just part of their learning. That's part of growing up. So for schools, I have not had any cases, meaning the families that I have worked with, that has not been an issue. They've had inclusion, even if it's, just for a little bit. Maybe an inclusion, you can get very, very creative. That's where we have the IEP teams collaborate between home and school, but then all the special education teachers have to collaborate as well with the mainstream teachers too, because I find out too that, there has to be communication between the mainstream teachers and the gen ed teachers. There shouldn't be any segregation among them as well. So we have to get everybody as a whole to communicate together for the types of inclusion that our child is going to get. Now, if our child is, now my younger son did have to go to therapeutic day school for his behaviors. We're in Illinois, so he went to Giant Steps. And it was an excellent program. We visited a lot of therapeutic day schools. Our biggest concern at that time when we were looking was because academically, he is like straight A student. He is amazing with his academics, but his behaviors were so bad at that time. They just impeded. He wasn't even available to learn. He wasn't available to learn. And I had to pick him up from school like multiple times throughout the week. I could not, like, I had to resign. I couldn't even work anymore because of how often that I had to pick him up from school, because everybody tried. In our school district, we did, they were wonderful. In the school district that we're in, they really tried to work with me. They tried to work with my son. We all brainstormed together, but my son, bless his heart, he is an enigma in himself, with behaviors that he has actually brought new ideas into our school district. And he's kind of like the guinea pig, so to speak, for our school, because he's older now. So to reteach the teachers that were in our school district of new ways and new ideas on how to approach our children and how to deal with them. And for him, the biggest thing with his concern was those transitions and immediate, like just really trying to figure out what was his trigger, because nobody could really tell. And we couldn't pinpoint, it was, oh, it's always in this class. It's always at this time of day. No, it was like, you never knew when the bomb was going to explode. That's how it was with my son. And so we had no choice but to go to a therapeutic day school center, because everything that we tried within all the resources and all the sensory rooms and everything. And what our school district does not have is a music therapy program. So those types of programs, you can get those special classes in the therapeutic day schools. And that just completely, it was a game changer. It really helped him a lot. And he's no longer with outbursts like that. Not physical. He's no longer physically aggressive. Now, that's not to say that he still doesn't have his challenges now. Now it's just all verbal, but I'll take the verbal now over all the chaos and destruction of the physical, dangerous physical behaviors that he was doing in his younger years. So with that, when you're going to a therapeutic day school, there's still inclusion, because inclusion looks a little different. They still go out into the community. They still have their field trips like that. If you're talking about the main school district of inclusion, you can have classes, like you don't have to, there's different ways to be creative to get that inclusion experience. Maybe they can be pulled out for, for a science project in one of the science classes. Now, maybe they're not doing the whole curriculum of that science class, but maybe they're just doing a little segment of it, where they're actually there, they're maybe partnering with a buddy, in that science class, if it's like a lab or something. There's different ways to get that inclusion. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I appreciate it. I guess I'm just trying to bring more of awareness of the civil rights component to it. It's not just the IDEA that our kiddos are protected under. It's also, the Disability Act, or the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And I think and more parents know their rights, that, you know, their kids supposed to be receiving the same benefit.
Mhm.
And, you know, the thing is Dr. Ross Green will say, if the negative behavior is happening, the school's already too late. They're already too late. They need to be proactive. So I guess the problem I have is we're blaming the child for their behavior, but what is the kiddo able to do independently? Are they able to read independently? Are they able to spell independently? So the schools will tend to focus on the negative behavior, but if the kiddo has a behavior intervention plan and they're already having negative behavior, that means your behavior plan isn't working. That's the point. If the negative behavior is happening, what you're doing is not working. And the problem is that it's not the parent really that should be saying, you know, we need to have a meeting. Somebody from the school needs to say, you know what, we're not doing enough. And you never really, at least from the moms and dads that I talk to, you don't really hear that. It's what we're doing is fine. Just wait and everything is going to be fine. And in the meantime, they're just passed on from grade to grade and they're so far behind academically. And then you'll wonder why the kid is having behaviors by the time they're 11 years old and they're not reading. What do you expect? And then they can't have access to general education classroom or curriculum, because how can they have access to it if they can't read or write independently? So that's what I'm hearing from a lot of parents. Kids were already behind post pandemic, or, you know, pre-pandemic.
Mhm.
And now the social and emotional health of their kids going back into the environment has just been an absolute disaster. And the school system is maybe hiring math coaches or reading coaches, but they're providing that source to the general education public and not to kids with disabilities. And there's such an area of discrepancy and discrimination that I see that really we need to really make our voices known so that they can have equity brought to them.
Mhm. Yes, I totally agree. I agree. Like I haven't gone out to schools, like if that's what you're asking, like I'm not like activist type where I'm going to schools and giving talks about, you know, inclusion and stuff like that. I've been mostly working one-on-one directly with families. So they'll tell me what their concerns are, and then I help them from there. So it's like one parent at a time, one IEP at a time, if that answers your question.
Yes, Kim, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. So, oh, and also with the, before I just wanted to touch real quick too, before the IEP paperwork, if we back up to what if my child hasn't met their IEP goals? So that part, honestly, if they're working on the same goal for, you know, two school years or longer, doing the exact same thing, and there's little to no progress, then yeah, something needs to be done. Like, there's questions we need to ask them. So was there progress at first and then they just plateaued? Are they working on the same goal with no progress? These are goals that are being worked on for on and on and on, and there's no progress or very, very little. So something needs to be changed, or maybe the child has too many goals in their IEP. So you have to revisit and go over the goals and see what should we take out. And it doesn't mean take out for good. It just means let's put a hold on this goal and let's really focus on like what we need here. This is a big problem area. There's no progress being made. Like, and also you have to ask yourself, is it too much? Maybe that goal needs to be taken out. Let's give it a rest. You know, it's kind of like weighing, you know, you have to weigh your options here on your child. You know, what is your child going through? We also have to see, what is our child feeling? Try to look through the eyes of your child and seeing, you know, are they being overwhelmed with the way they're working on this goal? Maybe they just need to put a pause on that particular goal and then revisit it again. So that's on if they haven't met their goals yet. So with IEP paperwork, there was questions, do we keep the paperwork? How long should we keep them? Yes, I'm all about keeping the IEP paperwork. So I actually have both of my boys, since they were in early intervention, when they were 2 and 3 years old, the home therapies, developmental therapies, I have them in binders and in boxes. So, but I do have to reference them. Me as an IEP coach, again, I have to reference what I had back then. So I do keep them all. At least, I would say at least 3 years. At least 3 years, keep your paperwork, like physical paperwork. I like keeping my paperwork because I like to see that, like, you know, have they met their goals? How much progress are they actually making? Are we still on the same goals? And are there goals in there that sometimes you find, hey, they've already mastered this goal and it's still in the IEP. Like, this needs to go, you know? So like, why is it still in there when it needs to let's put something else in there. If it's like, and I mean like the specifics. So sometimes you can have like a reading goal. Okay, so if they're on a reading goal and like that's still, you know, they're doing reading and comprehension, you want to make sure that you're being specific on what area. I mean, there's a lot to reading and comprehension. There's the concrete questions and answers. Whatever it is that they're going to be focusing on, you want to get specific in that goal of the paperwork. So it has to be very clearly written, because whatever is in that IEP paperwork, the next school team for the next year should be able to look at that and pick up where you left off. If the goals are not clearly written, then we're back to the same drawing board again. And then everybody is like, you know, it's too late into the school year by September, October, even though it's the beginning, but to see, oh, should we be working on this goal or not? So that's very important. So I like to keep my paperwork together for at least 3 years to, you know, have reference. And then also for the goals that they did master, and look how far they came, you know, and how far they've worked. So yeah, very good to keep the paperwork. So if you want to keep them, and it's your preference, if you want them all in emails and just create email folders and just have them separated in the school years for different email folders, or if you do want to print them out, I like paper, so I do keep them there. Like I said, in binders and boxes, whichever is easier for you. I know it's a lot of paper, but you know, it depends on how thick your files are too, because not all, I've gone through a lot of IEPs. Some IEP paperwork is only like 20 pages long. I've had IEPs that were like 50, 60 pages long. So it all depends on what goals, how many goals, you know, and everything that's in your paperwork. So you want to keep your paperwork too for your accommodations. Because you have everything in there together. Sometimes you have to reference your IEP to say, hey, is this being followed? Are the teachers doing these accommodations that are in there? And the support systems that are there. So yes, definitely keep all your paperwork. I never shred them, you know, so along with IEP paperwork, by the way, prior to an IEP meeting, you should always ask for a draft of your IEP. So they don't always, not all school districts just automatically give you a draft. Some do, some don't. So you just want to make sure that you get that draft. Every state is different too. So Illinois law is you have to have your that IEP paper draft given to you at least 3 days prior. That's 3 school days prior to your meeting day, because you need time to review it. You need time to, which is every single one of the drafts that I get, like there's highlight markers all over the whole paper, everything, because I always have some type of question to ask, or I have ideas too that I put in, and I'll give references, whatever it is that we want to communicate on meeting day. So, because that's what makes the full collaboration. You want to review your IEP draft, and then you want to make some kind of parent collaboration report, send it to the whole entire team, and then they need time to review your report so that they can, you know, have a chance to answer your questions or let you know what's going on, you know, whatever it is that you highlighted that you want to know. Excuse me, because come meeting day, you know, if you don't do that, then, you know, you run the risk of forgetting of what you wanted to ask. And then you get, you know, some parents, you know, we get like blank or whatever, and we don't remember everything that we wanted to talk about. And then after the meeting is over, it's like, oh, I should have asked this, and then we're individually sending emails out to ask a question or something when we don't know now, is that email going to get to the whole entire team? Because that paperwork has to go, whatever it is that collaboration report is, should be sent to the whole entire team, one group email, so that everybody is on the same page. So, any questions on your paperwork? No? Okay.
Do you want me to leave this up for this parent role, or are we going to the next one?
The parents' role was next, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically your role as a parent, you are the captain of the ship. Okay, so you are the CEO. The parents need to share and collaborate as much information as possible with the IEP teams, because you know, the IEP team, they're going to assess our children and do observations based on what they see in the classroom. And some classes, depending on what grade your child is in, you know, certain teachers or certain therapists only see them for a tiny bit of time. So they really don't have the bigger picture. That's where we come in, where we have to help fill in the gaps, the Swiss cheese, I like to call, will fill in the Swiss cheese holes. So we have a full block of, we got a full block of cheese, you know? So our role is to collaborate everything. That's collaborating everything that we see that goes on in the home, everything that we see our kids do in other outside of school areas, when we take our kids on vacations, how are they acting there? What are they doing? How do they react to different things? How are our kids acting when they're in, you know, going shopping at the stores, at parties, at functions, whatever, anything that's outside the school, we need to share that with the team so that the team can put in place, and again, it goes into the goals, you know, for what we want for our children. And any other outside therapists that we have, behavioral therapists, any other, you know, if they're doing other therapies too, physical therapy, whatever, we can always invite our home teams to come and attend these meetings as well. Now, what you need to do in advance, though, you just have to tell your team that you are bringing in whoever you want to bring in. So, and your school will end up, of course, you can bring in anybody you want, but the school is going to require some type of permission slip that they can talk to, and for each person. So if you have more than one therapist coming in, you're going to have some type of paperwork to sign, you know, just granting them permission to communicate with them. That's all it is. So you sign the paperwork and then you're good to go, and they can attend your meetings with you.
Can I make a comment on that, Kim? I personally think that all of that paperwork so everybody can collaborate. I make sure that's done at the beginning of the year regardless, so that everybody can be talking. I don't wait till IEP time for that because I want everybody talking all the time. So.
Oh, yeah, and actually, that's actually in my up ahead requesting meetings. Yes. Yes. So, yeah, absolutely. There is definitely more than one. You will definitely want more than one meeting. And we'll go over that in a couple more fields here. So classroom visits. Yes, absolutely. You have every right to visit your children's classroom. Any of the classrooms, just coordinate with your team. Which classroom do you want to see and for how long? And, excuse me, and how do you want to see them? Do you want to be in the classroom, like off to the side? Or do you want to be like outside the classroom so your child doesn't see you? Because maybe your child will act a little different knowing that you're there, right? So we kind of want to see both, you know, both circumstances, you know, where the child doesn't know that you're there and you're kind of peeking through the classroom doorway. So yes, you can absolutely make arrangements with your school to do that.
So Kim, is that a formal request that we need to place? I've never done a classroom visit school before, so I'm just asking what is the process for it?
Just an email. You can send an email to make sure you include your classroom teacher and any other teachers that you want, or the whole team. Include the principal and the vice principal, and you're good to go. Just send a kind email and, you know, tell them you want to observe. Tell them the reasons why you want to observe them. If you have any concerns or anything like that, absolutely, just put that in there and then set up the dates. And then ask them what day you would be able to, you know, coordinate with them to go see. And you don't have to stay the whole entire school day. If you know, explain to them be specific, explain to them, you know, what class you want to see, which area you want to see. Maybe you want to see during recess. Are they social with the other kids? How does that look? You know, any classes that you want to see them in, yeah, just coordinate with the team.
Got it. Thanks, Kim.
So the next one is the types of meetings.
Can I ask a quick question? Does that count for therapists too? Like if I want to send my ABA therapist into a classroom visit, is that like the same requirement that they are supposed to let my therapists observe?
Yes, that's definitely one, and they will request a form. Of course, like I said before, they're going to want that form filled out. They won't be able to visit the classroom if that form is not filled out, that authorization form. So as long as that authorization form is filled out, then you can request, and if you want to attend with the therapist to go together, yeah, absolutely. But they won't, like I said, they won't be able to if that authorization form is not filled out. So yeah, types of meetings. Oh yeah, so many. So the initial, that's like the very, very first one, which if you have an IEP, we've already done that already. So basically it's reviewing every single domain. The school districts call it domains. I like to call it just categories. It's just the different sections to review. So the school district will, it's helpful to have a diagnosis, but just because your child has a diagnosis does not necessarily mean they're going to get an IEP. They might get a 504, or they might not, the school district might say they don't qualify for anything. So it's helpful, it's very helpful to have the diagnosis, but it doesn't, that's not a guarantee. to get the IEP. Because the school district, again, they will give the IEP or 504 based on their assessments and their observations and how their academics and their functioning is adversely affected, you know, by their diagnosis. So that's what when they're gonna do the initial evaluation, they're gonna evaluate on their academics, the functional skills, cognitive skills, emotional and behavior, speech evaluations if needed, occupational if needed, developmental, physical, like everything. And then they'll set up a meeting to discuss what their assessments were, what their findings are, and then you go from there. And then what their determination is too. Now, if they determine that, yes, we need an IEP, then they'll create the goals. And usually they'll create the goals like right then and there. They'll have them ready, and then they'll ask for your approval. As parents, are these okay and everything? Do you agree? You know, this is what we're seeing. Do you agree? And you go from there. So that's the initial eligibility for an IEP. Then every 3 years, there's some schools call it a reevaluation. Some schools call it a triannual review. I mean, this is what I've heard being an IEP coach and working with families. So different school districts call them different things. It's basically the same thing. Every 3 years, there's another reevaluation of all these domains. So just to make sure that your child is still in need of the IEP. So then there's the annual review. So that's basically, you know, what it is. It's a yearly review for your IEP goals. Then there's the transition meetings. Those are meetings when your child is transitioning from like early childhood to kindergarten, from elementary school to junior high, from junior high to high school. High school transitioning, like there's multiple different types of transitioning within high school. They can either do an extended high school program. So like 2 years, it's usually 2 extra years of high school for them. A life skills program, there's trade schools, college, like whatever it is, that transition. So those are transition meetings. Then there's the mapping meetings. I like to call them brainstorming meetings. So basically, teachers will, and the team will want to discuss, okay, what's working, what's not working. We tried this, excuse me, and we want to collaborate. They want to collaborate with the parents, have new action plans set up for your IEP goals. So that's the mappings. Then there's formal meetings. The formal meetings include everybody, like the whole shebang. That's the whole IEP team, the principals, vice principals, the district admins, like just everybody, you know, any outside therapists, but absolutely everybody around the formal meetings. Then there's the informal meetings where it might be you just want to meet maybe with the main classroom teacher and 1 or 2 therapists just to brainstorm, you know, quick things, small things. There might be amendments made or just a little tiny adjustments. So those are, you know, but you don't need the whole entire district and board and everything to attend that one. It's just a small, you know, informal meeting. Any questions? Okay. So requesting meetings, yes, here's where we're going with Christine, just to bounce off back on that one. You can request a meeting anytime throughout the school year. So as a rule of thumb for me, I like doing 4 meetings, at least 4 meetings a school year. I like to do at the very beginning of the school year, around August, early September. I like to give, basically the first week or 2 of school, I like to give an introduction letter because I like to tell the teachers, the new team, it might be the same team and it might be brand new teachers. Either way, I like to have, just make a little letter to touch base, tell them, a little bit about, my child, because, your child's interests could change. They're growing, so from year to year. So what are their new interests are? What are their new strengths? What are emerging skills? Was there any regressions over summer that took place? All of that will go in an intro letter that I like to send out at the beginning of the school year. And if they want to make a meeting of it just to discuss, if there's more serious things in there, especially if there's regressions, then yeah, you want to call a meeting at the beginning of the school year so we could like nip that in the bud, like right now, this is, so you can work on it throughout the whole school year. Then I like to do another one after winter break, because again, things happen during winter break. If you're able to see and observe your children, what's going on, again, with any regressions or new emerging skills, same thing with that. After spring break, same thing. And then at the end of the year, like around May or June, depending on when your last days of school are. So in May, I like to have another final meeting just to wrap up, make sure everything is tight and squared away to start off the new school year. Because like I mentioned earlier, those goals and what's in the IEP needs to be very clearly written so that the next team can just pick up and go and read everything that's there and know what's expected for the new school year. And then there's like any other time too, throughout the school year, if you have questions, concerns, something's not working, or progress reports. If you have progress reports, then you want to be able to address those. Progress reports are all the IEP goals, the status that they're at, and those always come. You should be getting them every quarter or every report card time. Every time that there's a report card, you should get the progress report as well. So, and you might want to set up a meeting to discuss anything that's in their progress. So yeah, anytime throughout the school year, you can request a meeting. Any questions? No? Okay. So the next section, I absolutely love building on our children's strengths, interests, preferred activities, incorporating all of that. That's really the key in getting them in getting our children to reach those goals. I love incorporating everything, which is why I like doing those introductory letters, which is why I like calling on meetings multiple times throughout the school years, and really giving as much information on our child as possible. Share as much as you can, because, they may do, teachers, school districts may do their testing and assessments based on their grade level and where they're at. But if it's they might be testing on something that's a non-preferred activity, and they may not score what they actually know, what their true potential is, because they're going to do amazingly awesome on an activity or assignment that they absolutely love. They're gonna, and you'll know exactly what their true potential is. You'll know what their level is. So you can always make adjustments. Again, this is an IEP, Individualized Education Plan. So we have to be creative. And when we build the curriculum and do the assignments based around their interests, we're really individualizing it to them, to our children, so that they can engage. We have to have that engagement. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. They're not going to be, and we're going to continue with the behaviors. So they have to have something that they like incorporated so that they can engage in the activities, in the assignments that they are trying to do to reach these goals. If it's a reading goal that they have, or even just, even if it's not in the IEP, if it's, whatever the academic assignment is, incorporate their interest in it. If they love cars, do something of cars with that assignment. If it's airplanes, whatever it is, if it's music, but let them, somehow teachers can be creative. This is where we really individualize it for them. We have any questions?
Kim, I want to just give you a heads up on time. I'm not sure if you're tracking.
I don't have the time here, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Yes.
That's okay. I just want to let people know. And so I'm not sure how much you have left, if you want to hit on the main things. Oh, it looks like it's just your contact info.
Yeah, this is basically the end of it.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so the behavior, basically, we mentioned this before, actually, it came up before, collaborating. I'm all about collaborating between home and school, and that includes outside of school therapies, no matter what they are, behaviors, occupational, developmental, whatever the therapy is that they're doing outside, bring that into the school as well, so everybody can collaborate with each other, and be on the same page with each other, and share tips. What's working with the home therapies that's not working in school, and vice versa. There's something in school therapies that's not working at home. So yes, definitely bring that collaboration in. And that was it for the meeting. The rest is resource. So TACA, I absolutely love TACA. And I'm not sure if you can see, I know I have my name bar here. So on the screen, I guess I can move it. Can everybody see the links?
Yes, we can.
Okay, because half the screen is blocked with. Okay.
Oh yeah. I moved on the recording too. I moved it so that people could see. So yes.
Okay, so yeah, those are links. This TACA it's amazing. If you haven't heard of it, this is a resource that all parents, anybody, basically, yes, it's autism, but there's also, parents in there too that are still on the spectrum, like just all kinds of questions parents ask. It's on Facebook, their website, you can take a look at it. And the Facebook one, the Facebook group, I also included, there is a Colorado chapter, they call it chapters. So for each state, they have a chapter where you would go into that Facebook group and you can ask anybody that's in your state or in that chapter questions. The chapters will also have, sometimes you have parent meeting groups where you actually get together. Here in Illinois, we in our Illinois chapter, we have different locations where we meet up. I'm also a TACA mentor as well. So I volunteer help families too. So whoever TACA assigns me to. And it's just a whole world of resource where parents can connect with each other and ask questions. You can ask anything. If you have behavior issues, if you have underlying medical issues, biomedical issues, special diet concerns, questions, or anything like that. These are all questions that I answer to, but there's also other parents, you get a whole variety of answers from other parents that's been there and know and understand, what you're going through. So you can vent on there if you need to vent. So it's just a really good resource for gaining more knowledge and how to help our children. So that's the TACA. And then the last is, my services and what I do. I start off with the free initial consultations. I know I say it's 30 minutes, but it usually is not. So it's a little longer, but that's okay because I want to get acquainted with the parents and the families, find out what your concerns are. And then I tell you what you can do, for immediate, getting immediate answers and stuff. And if you want to hire me for more, to attend meetings, I do attend. I will travel, like if it's within 50 miles, I will travel to the school for those meetings. Or if your school is having it on Zoom, or Google Meets, we do it that way too. So those are different services that I do. And then I also, I'm also an author because into social stories and stuff. So I'm writing more books. I have this particular book. It's actually almost done. This one here, The Heaven, Earth, and Back to Heaven Again, that is on Amazon. It's on Amazon as a hardcover, a paperback, and it's also on Amazon Kindle. Basically, my children were obsessed with death, and I have a huge family, like huge family. So we've had a lot of funerals to go to over the past years, and it was extremely difficult for them. And they, so I ended up with a social story. The first one worked when they were younger, but then, as they got older, it was really like critical because they were like vomiting and for how much they were upset with crying and meltdown, with the obsession of death and stuff. So I made this story and it's helped them. And they actually illustrated all the pictures in the book. So I have also another book coming out, which is my IEP book. It's just a parent guide it's a series of parent guides for IEP meetings and school stuff. And then I have more stuff coming down the pipe as well as an author. So, and that's it.
I wanted to make note that your email is down here, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we have your email and your website down in this left-hand corner. If anyone wants to take that down, people can contact you through that, right?
They can contact me as well through either one, through my email or through my website.
Okay, great. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Kim. That was perfect timing. All the packages are here. I'm trying to give some time, even for people who are recording, to take note. I'm sure if they're emailing you that they could get this info as well, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, great. All right.
And this will be recorded also on the website, so on the IABA website. So if you missed anything, we'll have all this information up.
Yes, I can, let me see if I can, let's see. I'm gonna see, can you guys see my screen where it says Google? Are you looking at the IABA website right now?
Yeah, I
Is that-
see it up there where it
Yeah, okay.
says. Mhm.
So I'm just going to show everyone on the recording that if you go to our website and click parent webinar trainings, this is where our last one on the transition to adulthood was uploaded. That's where this will be. It does take some time. We'll notify all parents when it's out, but that's where you find it. So, and we'll put that in the email when it's sent out. All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. And hopefully everyone has Kim's contact info. Kim, thank you so much for your time. We
Sure,
really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Yes.
you. Whoever I can help, I'm out there.
Oh,
So
well,
it's good.
I think you definitely, I think you've definitely even helped the parents we had on here tonight. So thank you. We look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay, you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.